Good morning, Year 11. I just want to talk you through the next activity. Now, this is going to be in compensation of not being able to talk to each other. And I would have usually have done this as a through lines activity. So all these sort of questions, etc., that are coming up would have been a collaborative walking around the room with a bit of classical music on, writing responses on big sheets of paper so your thoughts are visible and so you can interact with other people's thoughts, etc. Okay, to get the minds ticking over, to start conceptualizing this notion of villainy and immorality. So instead, we're just going to do them on Google Docs so we can all see each other's responses and add whatever we like. Okay, so first of all, they are numbered in the order that I want you to go in. So start with 1, the definitions and lexical chain. 2 will be context and influence. 3, reflecting on villainy. 4, reflecting on immorality. And then 5 will be an extension activity, doing a bit of crafted creative writing. Okay, so to start with, first, before you do any of the other reflections, start with the definitions. Okay, so villain. A character is a story or play. A character from a story or play who opposes the hero. A deliberate scoundrel or criminal. One blamed for a particular evil or difficulty. A wicked person. So using the adjective of villainous is befitting a villain. Villainy is evil, wicked, or criminal behaviour. Villainous conduct, depravity. Don't confuse that with deprive. Deprave is a completely different meaning. Okay, immoral is to be outside society's standards of acceptability, honesty, and moral behaviour. So then immorality is the quality or state of being immoral. It is wickedness. So just to start with, I'd like us to create a lovely lexical chain. Usually we would do it on the whiteboard in a lovely gradient going down, starting with our positive up in the top, our neutral in the middle, and moving down to a negative. So we're just going to do it in the table. I've kicked us off. So just terms, synonyms, anything. We just want to create a lovely rich meta language on the topic. Okay, villainy and immorality. So to start with, I've just got a positive from this concept, empowerment, neutral, choice. Can we make we all can make a choice to engage in villainy or immorality, but it is a sort of a neutral stance, and then obviously negative victimization. Okay, once you've engaged with the lexical chain, we're moving on to context and influence. So task 2, comment on and provide your thoughts on the following. Your examples are not limited to literary text. They may include real-life narratives and circumstances. So you can consider historical events, current affairs, today's media, etc. Now, there are several questions on each task. You do not have to engage with every question. Just provide comments for those that are sort of speaking to you or that you feel particularly opinionated on. Okay, but just get the minds ticking over. Okay, and you can most certainly comment on each other's comments as well, but please be fairly pragmatic about that. If you do provide a comment, it would be great if you just put your initials next to your comment, so then I can get a bit of an understanding of who is saying what. Okay, and please, can we use this maturely? No ridiculous, like, little phrases or sayings. Andrew Sheldon, I'm talking to you. And Harry Beasley too. Okay, so context, influence. How and or why do contextual and societal factors influence a narrative about villainy and immorality? And then on the flip side, how can a narrative exploring these concepts impact on or influence the society in which it was created? Which specific narratives about villainy and immorality have shaped our or the world? How do we tell stories about villainy and immorality? We really need to keep focusing on this notion of storytelling. How has the perception or depiction of the villain changed through storytelling? Who was once considered the ultimate villain, now deemed less harmful? And what was once immoral that is now acceptable? So these are all listed here. Please provide your comments, put your initials beside. 3. Okay, reflecting on villainy. Why do narratives have villains? When are villains more interesting than heroes? What motivates villainy? What is the backstory? What makes an effective or memorable literary villain? Is a villain inherently immoral? What are physiological, or psychological traits of a villain? And nature versus nurture. Are some born evil, or does villainy evolve from external factors? Please comment, provide your initials, and moving on. Immorality. Who or what determines what is immoral? What kind of narratives were once deemed immoral that are now acceptable or less controversial? Are we all capable of immoral acts? Why or why not? What kind of circumstances force us to be immoral? What is the ultimate immoral act? And how does an immoral act by a character position the audience to respond to them? Okay. So, as I said, you do not have to comment on all of them. Just ones that sort of speak to you or you feel strongly about, and feel free to engage with each other's responses. Okay. Now, if you would like an extension activity and to do something a little creative, look, I know that you've got a lot of work in all of your other subjects, so this is not. I'm just trying to get you through the essentials online. But please, if you feel compelled and you enjoy, engaging with these sort of tasks, just let me know, or just keep reading. Do these sort of creative activities. Okay, so this is optional. You do not have to do this, but I really would love to read some creative stuff. I'm so sick of marking just... Oh, your work is great. Sorry, and this is not about you. Year 11 rules, you guys are great. Year 7 and 8 literacy really is doing my head in. So something creative would be fab. All right, so consider a stereotypical or archetypal villain. What do they look and sound like? How do they project themselves? And what reaction do they conjure from others? So I want you to do this in prose form. Compose a description being introduced in a narrative. Okay, and then on the flip side, a contemporary villain. What do they look and sound like? How do they project themselves? What reactions do they conjure? Again, prose form. Imagine it's the introduction of this narrative of this villain in the narrative. Now look, this is really broad. I haven't given you sort of contextual boundaries here because that's kind of something that I want you to be aware of when you are writing. Setting and circumstance. Where are you naturally going to set these sort of archetypal villains in? What sort of time frames, contexts are they going to be in? We will naturally gravitate towards, I guess cliched or those old tropes that are associated with the stereotype or archetype of villainy. Okay, and likewise with the contemporary villain. Does the contemporary villain also have sort of stereotypes or some sort of archetypal situation that we usually find them in? Okay, and this is what this is all a part of. How does context really affect how characters are depicted, where they are depicted, what circumstance they are in, etc. Okay, so just think about when you're doing this, be really aware of your instincts with this kind of writing. Okay, do you gravitate towards the tropes or are you looking elsewhere? Okay, hop to, and this one is individual. This is not a collective group task, so this won't be a Google Doc for everyone to share. This will be individual. Okay. One last thing. It would be really nice to see you. So, I'll just going to send out a little a little message or something to find out who would have access to Zoom and would be interested in, doing a little bit of interactive discussion, etc. We just have to be mindful of equity issues. So if majority can or some can't, we have to sort of work around that because we don't want people missing out. All right, off you go.